Last time on Character Creation Spotlight, Jess and Satah were creating a pair of small-time science fiction criminals in a quiet bar with very low stakes. While Amelia and I were creating a pair of magical girls and necromancers in a volcano where the fate of the universe hung in the balance. We're picking up right where we left off last time. Enjoy.
Okay, so with that, it is time. You can choose your capes in secret. That sounds like there's already some cape ideas coming out, or you can just talk about it. I think on a podcast format especially, I'm happy to just talk about it if you are, Satah.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, Ryan, do you have off the top of your head the last time you wore a cape? I'm just really curious which of us would win.
It was Halloween last year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, mine was more recent, but I think it was just me taking selfies in a cape. So if we're also weighing off of like gravitas, I think you'd win, but I was just curious.
I was gonna say, I've definitely worn a cape more recently than both of you, but I don't own a cape. Like personally, I mean, my children own several. So that's why I was wearing a cape. I don't remember exactly what we were playing, but we were playing something and I did wear a cape. So
fascinating. I could have flipped those options because it is a broader thing. I guess you could own a cape but not wear it, but that seems even more rare.
Why would you do
fascinating.
That? Yeah.
So what I was thinking for my cape is a duster.
I love it.
Checks out. Like draped and we've sort of talked about how we're a little overdressed. And I think what overdressed means for my character is I have gone out and bought a brand new duster, which is like not a thing you see on this like RIM space station that's falling apart. Yeah. You see like hand-me-downs and beat up stuff. And it is like fancy. Like it is like it is not a duster built for work. It is like meant to like be for someone cosplaying the aesthetics of someone who would wear a duster. And it's got like the end flares out like back like in a really significant way. So it like spreads it goes to my ankles and then like spreads out in almost like a little canopy down there because it's more of a fashion object than it is an actual coat.
That's so good.
Yeah, I think that I'm going in the same direction, and I think for the same reason of being overdressed, and this is not at all practical, I'm wearing a jacket that both wouldn't be warm enough for the weather and also doesn't even do up, like it, and so I'm just wearing it over one shoulder, and maybe I have my finger hooked in it, red carpet style, and I just I have it just over the shoulder.
As you're posing in that doorway that you definitely weren't waiting in.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm trying very heavily to imply that I was wearing it, but I think at no point was I, because I think like my shoulders are a little too broad for it. Like it can't even go on properly. It is just to be worn on the shoulder.
Oh, I love that so much. It's this half cape that is just you holding a coat that doesn't fit on your shoulder. Beautiful.
So much.
Okay.
Wow.
Amelia and Ryan, how about your capes?
Okay. So mine, I am envisioning this sort of like shiny, like iridescent, like almost like oil slick kind of looking material. And it is sort of like, you can't quite tell how long it actually is. I'm going to go ahead and say it. If I like completely furled it out, it probably would be past floor length, but I have it wrapped around my shoulders several times so that it like is like thrown over and then flows back.
Oh, perfect. Because my cape is probably a similar length because we used to be on a team.
Oh, right? Because this is our team uniform.
Yeah. And I was picturing long, well past floor length billowing in the wind. But my cape is like, you could tell it was sparkly at one point. But it is, when it blows in the wind, it is very tattered the further out you go on the cape. Like it's gotten more tattered over time.
Wow.
There are two things I need to point out about this image that I absolutely adore. The first one is that you all are wearing capes longer than floor length on top of lava. And I love that in your anime, nothing happens to the capes besides the perfect weathering that already happens.
Right.
Like,
and like the beautiful wind and yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
2, the idea of the oil slick cape on the background of the blue and purple lava is so incredibly gorgeous. I am just like salivating over the like, quality
I
and
know.
perfection
And it's
of this
windy
game.
here, so you can see
Yeah.
the color changing.
Ugh.
Oh,
And you
that is
spoke
so
about
good.
the like sort of glass, the lava, black glass, volcanic glass
Oh,
of it
yeah.
that's like reflecting the cape as it blows.
Oh,
Ooh.
this is
We
gorgeous.
made a beautiful scene. I don't think we need to fight
Yes.
about it. I think that this is great. I think the season 3 finale never airs.
Got that cliffhanger shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to end up in a lot of AMVs for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh.
I'm like soundtracking this already. But okay, cape rubric. So for Seda and eyes, mine is closest to floor length without going over, I assume.
Yep. Uh-huh.
So I am going to take first advantage, and not just because first priority doesn't matter because we're not actually going to play the game. That's nothing to do with why I'm picking first advantage. And then for the 2 of you, how you evaluate longer is a fascinating question here. I'll sort of leave that to you unless you want me to make a judgment as the game designer.
I mean, so this is like floor length without going over, but we did both go over.
We both went over
Yes.
it,
Right.
and I would say both originally the same length.
Right, because we did decide it was part of our magical team.
Yeah.
So that
So
I
probably
think,
on to the next thing in the rubric.
right.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
at this point, then it goes on to Ryan, right?
Yes, because you own a
'Cause
cape.
you own a
I do
cape.
own a cape.
I mean, I own,
Yes.
like long jacket thingies, but they're not really capes. So
I love getting to see this go to the real life capes. It's so exciting for me as the person who wrote this. Okay, so Ryan, do you want first advantage or first priority?
Ah, gosh.
I feel like you should take advantage because we're not playing.
Yeah, I was thinking advantage, and I was thinking the element of surprise.
Yes.
Ooh.
So Ryan has gotten us into the next step because immediately after capes is advantages. And so on advantages, there is a list of them, one of which is the element of surprise. So in the same way for history, you had this like list of options, except now instead of choosing them together, you alternate back and forth until you both have 2 or more if you want to do more. So Ryan has already come out of the gate with the element of surprise. I'll let you talk about that a little bit, and then I'm going to introduce the rest of the advantages. But tell me what that means here.
It has to be that shot of like my character standing in silhouette against like all this like heat in the background. Of
it's like doing that like wavy
up on
heat thing and like
yeah, so like up on a tall like either cliff or like at the
I think it's like on like a
edge of the volcano
precipice kind of thing. Yeah,
and you just get the silhouette of my character with the cape blowing and like you can see the tatteredness of the cape being like progressively more and more tattered as you get longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You all are giving me everything I want. Thank you so much. So, to introduce the rest of the advantages, because I think along with the cape rubric, this is one of the best things in the book, in my own humble opinion. The high ground, the element of surprise, superior weaponry, reinforcements on the way, to be your opponent's exact type. Familiar territory, a more accomplished record, to be taller than your opponent, a history of greater accomplishments, superior fashion, extensive training for this particular fight, desperation and anonymity or comprehensive intelligence on your opponent, or finally, opponent in a compromising situation.
Ooh.
So these are all of the advantages available to you. And
So
Ryan has already picked one.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that Amelia, you pick one and then say that and I'll start going.
So Ryan, I have a question. How you feel about this?
Yeah.
My gut instinct was to say superior fashion because this is a discussion that you and I have all the time about the only good part of me being evil is that I have better fashion. But we also were part of a team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Can I have
I would-
superior fashion?
I would say yes, because I've become like a dark mirror image of what a magical girl should be.
With bad fashion. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like good fashion gone bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and say superior fashion then, because my other option too then was like comprehensive intelligence on your opponent since we worked together.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just like superior fashion just sounds more fun to me. Like it's less helpful, but more interesting.
See, that's what this is about. It's about the flair and the style. Plus, you're going to pick. You do get to pick two.
Okay.
So you'll get to keep going. Ooh, what does my character have on you? So you said vengeful and like how you can't let this go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to flip a question on you for this, which is it you can't let this go because that's totally just an aspect of your personality, which works for me? Or is part of it also that I'm your exact type and you just can't get rid of this crush that you have on me?
I mean, I think it's both in different ways. I think that I am somebody who holds on to stuff, but I think that part of being vengeful is that I'm also probably generally pretty good at flipping on people on a dime. Good at is an interesting way to say that, but I think that it is like something that is very much in my wheelhouse is to be like, I don't like you anymore. And actually I'm going to do a quest of vengeance against you. So, and it's actually really frustrating to me that I haven't been able to just disengage from you and start that quest of vengeance without having complicated feelings about it. Because you are my exact type. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely. And satah, what is your first advantage?
I don't think I want to choose this, but I did have the immediate image of taking the high ground because I'm literally like sitting on the bar, which is funny. Maybe I do want to take that. Nothing else is like is super popping out to me, so maybe I'll just go with.
I love the image that it's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday and you are sitting on the bar with your like shiny new coat thrown over your shoulder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What a good image.
These employees are so annoyed with you.
Oh yeah. This story could be told just through the texting that the bartender is doing under the bar to like the line cooks being like, so I can't leave. I can't come back there. But oh my God, I'm so sick of this. Oh my God, they just said this. Oh my God, they actually just did this. Seriously.
You'll never believe what they're up to now. Yes. So good.
I'm not allowed to record TikToks at work anymore. But if I could, here's what it is.
It's really sad.
So good. All right. Am I onto my second advantage then?
Yes, so. Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to throw out there desperation.
Oh, what a good one.
Because my character is just, this is my last chance. I have to destroy this now. Otherwise, it's going to destroy the universe in my mind. So I have to, this is it.
Oh.
And Amelia?
I think I am going to go with comprehensive intelligence on your opponent.
There you go.
Absolutely. And I like that also because like Ryan's character has clearly been so like single-minded for a while. And so probably hasn't as much been following like you specifically. Right. Whereas like you have been like, I know that this is coming and I'm gonna.
Right. And I'm very much like, this fight is about you. And he's very much like, this fight is about this orb. And like, we're focused on very different things in this situation.
I can see like you having set up like a series of minion obstacles for me to just slow me down.
Yeah. I got lots of little skeleton friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Okay. For me, there's two that I'm deciding between. One is to be taller than your opponent because I feel like this entire vibe, there's like just so much room for the moment of like one of us leans in over the person in the almost kiss, and there needs to be a height difference for the almost kiss that doesn't happen.
That's probably one of the reasons why I'm sitting on the bar, because I was sitting on a stool and there's a moment where I like look down and I move my hand up and down to try and see how tall you are. Yes! And I realize that even when I'm sitting on a stool, I'm a little shorter than you. So I'm like,
I love the visual of like the camera is like on you while you're waiting for them to arrive. And you're like
double checking.
Like none of this is great for
Come
podcast audio. Right? But like of like measuring up and like looking at the seats and then like trying to like sit up a little straighter and then like adjusting and like turning so you're leaning on the bar.
Do you have phone books on this space station? Do phone books still exist? Can I sit on a phone book?
Yes. Oh my God.
Well, that has decided that I am taking to be taller than your opponent. And this is, again, while I call it a collaborative game, because I am picking my advantage, and like half of why I picked that comes from Sata's addition there.
Right, yeah. From everybody around you being like, yes, pick it.
Exactly. Sata, anything else calling out to you? I'll actually say while you think, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
That like I was considering superior fashion because I almost always pick superior fashion. And then I realized our characters being both overdressed, I just want us both to be way too fashionable. So it like didn't make sense. Just because I was like, we both have superior fashion. Go ahead.
That's also why I'm leaning away from the element of surprise, because we established that we both kind of knew the other person would be there, and we're both pretending to be surprised.
You didn't. Yeah.
I'm wondering, sort of with what we discussed earlier, do you have a more accomplished record? Do I, I get stuff done?
Can I?
And we're both like famous for different reasons.
Interject something here? I would like to say that you have a more accomplished record at karaoke.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. It's like I have entered several, I'm like space station hopping between jobs, and just entering casual karaoke competitions. But it has the air of, you go to a DDR competition at the arcade in the mall, and there's one person who's clearly been playing a lot harder than everybody else, like hands off the bar, twirling around when they do their moves and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just here, a little karaoke thing. Don't worry about it. And I'm busting out full choreography.
Right. Yes.
So on that note, I'm so excited because I had been thinking of like karaoke thing as like a sort of separate idea. But now if we place it in this context, the idea that there is a karaoke night at this bar at like 5 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever.
So you're having your whole duel like 5 hours before this.
We show up way too early to like case it and get ready. And then like we are having our duel of the fact that we're going to be better at karaoke than the other person 5 hours beforehand because we are insanely extra.
That's so funny. Just adding extra, the employees hate us because I'm like asking about the microphone that they use. And they're like, I don't know. It is the SM58 that's been here since 1984. Like, it's still sort of microphone shaped, but not really. It will amplify your voice. And I'm like, can I bring my own? I have one.
But you're like asking them to like move furniture to like improve the acoustics. I'm like, do you have to hold it in that corner? I mean, because if you did it over there, it would.
I'm just worried because it looks like we've got a lot of concrete corners. And so if we could either like move the mic or just maybe if I could borrow some fabric, some baffling, I'll just get up there and I'll just like, it'll be less of an echo.
Can I walk around with the microphone or is it connected with a cord and I have to stay on the stage?
Now who runs the spotlight?
If I need to like work the crowd.
I love these characters so much.
Nightmares. Yeah.
These are like the worst people and I love them.
Yes. So frequently I make the worst people and I have the high ground.
So great. It seems like a game designed for that and I love it so much.
Absolutely. Okay, so now that we have our advantages, we move on to our clothing. So this is just any 2 details you want. It can be the overall color. It can be a piece of clothing. Later, you're going to get like an inventory, which can include fashion accessories if you want to keep fleshing that out, or can be like important mementos. So it's really up to you what clothing means to you here. But yeah, just in some way flesh out the visual of your character. And I already know I'm like starting to lean more and more space Western for our small time criminals here. I do have a cowboy hat.
Okay.
It does perfectly match my duster.
Did you buy them together? Were they a set?
I bought them together.
Okay.
I bought them together very recently.
Good.
And I think there's like a little bit of like a metal rim to it.
Ooh.
Like, again, it's just a little bit beyond being something that you only have for practicality.
Mhm.
Enough that I could claim it, but not enough that anyone would believe me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you. This doesn't have to be alternating, but Seda, do you have anything coming to you?
I think in the same area, since you've specified an accessory to match the vibe of your coat, I think I'll do the same. But it's pilot goggles, non-functional pilot goggles. Like they're a little too old and just they wouldn't actually provide the protection that they are supposed to, but they do really scream, I'm a pilot. And so I wear them on my head so that everybody knows I'm a pilot.
I'm a pilot. Yeah.
And when I'm actually
Amazing.
flying, I swap them out.
It's very much like a flyboy thing, right?
Yes.
Like you're trying to be like the hot fighter pilot or whatever.
Yeah. I think on that note, I'm also going to go with very tight pants.
Yes, absolutely. And then on my end, to complement the like duster and cowboy hat, I have suspenders, but they're not work suspenders. I'm not wearing a suit, but I'm wearing a button down black like top and black like slacks and black suspenders. Like I'm in some sort of like all black tux or something, except I'm just wearing a duster over it. And I am hot enough. Like
You
any
are
outfit is
pulling it
good
out.
if you are like,
Yeah.
if you are hot and confident, and I am both hot and confident.
Okay.
But like in any other context, that would be horrible.
I do feel like that should be like an additional question here is, are you pulling it off?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm basically in this like suit duster.
Gosh,
and I
so
look
good. It's like a tux and tails, but a duster.
yes,
wow.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's even an element of this, which is like, clearly she knows it's like a little too much. And that the fact that she's so confident in it is what's hot. And I think specifically your character, Seda, is like, God, she looks so hot. God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Love it. I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
Ryan, I love this detail that you've added here.
Yeah. So my first detail for my clothing is a tiara with a gemstone that has recently turned Vanta black.
Yes. That's so exciting.
It's like unsettling to look at.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I was the necromancer magical girl in our team. My element was necromancy. Do I also have a tiara?
Maybe.
Do we all wear tiaras?
That might have been part of the outfit.
I'm trying to decide because I feel like I'm going to say yes. I am also wearing a tiara, and mine has an opal.
Oh, I like
It's
that.
like
dichotomy.
reversed your colors.
Mm.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like yours turning black. Like, oh, I love that.
Yeah, and then I had also said that I was wearing all black.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a given. I feel like it kind of is, but
I'm gonna say that.
what does this
Then-
magical girl outfit look like? Like, what is I'm
Like-
trying to figure out like how you mesh like magical girl and necromancer into like. I'm imagining like, we've got our flowing capes, but I'm also imagining like skinny jean, tight pant, legging kind of like, like pants and tall boots.
Oh yeah, pants, tall boots. That's a very good aesthetic. And like these capes that flow.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And tiaras.
gosh, Yeah,
that's
and
a
the
really good
tiaras.
look. Do we have
It is a very
masks?
good look.
Yeah.
Oh, I think masks sounds fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So now I've got an image for mine. Like you've had the black motif because of necromancy. And my character feels like kind of the polar opposite of that. So I started as like almost like a pure white sort of outfit, right? With like a little accents of like maybe gold.
Okay.
On it. And like everything has become tarnished.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still like white but tarnished, or are you like kind of like a grayish like white that's been through the wash with some darks?
Oh, what if it's like white and like the gold accents that were on it are also like turning Vanta black.
Yeah.
So there's like
that's cool.
Black spider web.
Because I was gonna say the other thing too is that
if
if you wanted to, we could both be black, but mine is much more like yours is like a very like flat, matte, dark black, and mine is like this sort of like shiny, like oil slick kind of.
What if it's constantly shifting?
Yours
What
is?
if there's like this Vanta black that's like shifting through my whole magical outfit?
It's
Oh
like
my God.
moving around
Yeah.
like Rorschach mask, but like,
Yeah.
and like representing the corruption and like more and more of
Yeah.
it as
Yes.
like
I love that.
you fall. Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Rules.
And like that allows you in dramatic moments to have like bursts of like the old white and gold come back when you're like being reached.
Yeah.
And then disappear in a dramatic
Right.
moment of like
Yeah, it's
anger
kind of like
yeah.
fighting the symbiote from like Venom or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
This is really good.
And like, were you to play this game, that is a perfect way that you would get to communicate. Like one of the things that I encourage players to do is like, if you lose a round, make your character vulnerable. Find a way to show what it is that you're feeling. So the other person, and if you don't show the other person, at least show the viewer. The movement of the colors on your outfit would be such a way to demonstrate emotional vulnerability when your character isn't willing to say anything. Oh, I love that.
yeah. And like if Amelia's character is getting through to my character, like certain parts start to shine better.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. I love
Gorgeous.
it.
Okay, now we choose our weapon. It's important to say that like your weapon is not going to influence the mechanical outcome of the duel. There are two ways that the weapon comes into play, besides just it being on your person and an element you can tell stories about, which is that on the final round, when someone reaches 9 points, which is the number of points you score in a competitive fencing match to win.
Amazing.
When someone reaches 9 points, their opponent must strike with the weapon. And they reserve the right to block or parry that blow. But like it is going to end on the cliffhanger of they attempt to strike. And then camera cut to black. Oh, I'm appreciating this reaction so much. And then the other way that it mechanically comes up is that on the 8th point, if your opponent reaches the 8th point, you must draw your weapon. You can draw it beforehand, but just to ensure that the narrative stakes feel like they're escalating.
That's right, because
on
this
your
is all
opponent's
before
8th
the
point.
duel. This is not even a duel. This is all
Yeah.
just like before you even start the karaoke competition.
And
Yes.
by the way, yes, speaking of Satah and I's game, I do think now that we've settled into this karaoke thing that our weapons are karaoke related.
I was going to say,
Um,
does somebody have a bedazzled microphone like Sharpay in High School Musical?
I was definitely thinking that I like can't. I'm wearing a headset that I can pull. It's a Bluetooth, like I can pull a microphone out of.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm hooked into the bar's PA already.
So you can like move around in a way that I would not if I had
love
this
it.
like mic stand.
Oh, amazing.
But that's your weapon.
Perfect.
And like also what this, again, we're not going to play, but what is beautiful implied here is that the 9th round has to involve one of us singing, which means at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, we decide we cannot wait to have this showdown and we start singing in this bar with 2 people in it.
And one of you
I
is going
think
to do
by,
like the Taylor's version 10-minute,
Yeah.
you know, like full.
The 10-minute Dear John. Yeah. I think the physical reaction I'm having is coming from my lifetime of work in the service industry. Like, I think I'm having the physical reaction as if customers are doing this in front of me. I just felt it sink over my entire body. Like, they're singing.
Oh no. Oh god.
Okay, they're singing. I'm just
Like, I'm embarrassed
good.
for you. Yeah. At least they're good. Yes.
Like I can't be super mad because they're really good, but like it's not supposed to be right now.
But like I'm still embarrassed for them. Yeah.
This is why I traded shifts today, because I did not want to hear strangers singing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
And
normally
yet-
do brunch. And yet.
Brunch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my weapon, I'm still trying to figure out how to describe this as a weapon. Like it works in circumstances. I'm trying to boil it down, but the touchstone I want to bring up here is Spider-Man 3, the like emo
Yeah.
Mhm.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
cafe scene where
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like singing at Mary Jane, I
Yeah.
think it is,
Mhm.
and like has the like dark black eyeliner and like hair and all of that. And he's just like looking directly at her and singing dramatically the whole time.
Oh.
Like my weapon is that I have prepared a number for you. Like I didn't come here with the intent to just like show you up by like singing better. I have I'm cunning. We talked about
Oh my
like
god, did
I
you
have
write
a
your
plan.
own song?
I think I spent forever looking for a song with the most on-track lyrics, and I've swapped a couple lyrics, like not just to a you, but I've like changed one or two lyrics
Oh
in
my
the
God.
song
It's
I'm
like-
going to be
it's
singing.
Like
in
viscerally
order to-
upsetting to me. This is like so awkward and uncomfortable in the best way. Like, oh.
Wow.
Oh.
We're truly scripting a sci-fi Riverdale here,
Mhm.
which unfortunately is everything I wanted a TV show.
Like, I'm not mad.
Yeah.
No.
I am, but like, I'm not.
Oh, I'm furious. Don't get me wrong, but I love it.
Oh, wow.
I love that we were space criminals, and now it has become about our karaoke session. This is so good. Yeah,
It's
I
incredible.
have the high ground.
What a good game.
What a good game.
Okay.
Well,
Your weapons.
So I think I've got a good one for my weapon. I don't know. Did you have something in mind for yours, Amelia?
I mean, I'm kind of thinking like I want to have like a staff or something. Like I'm kind of thinking just like
Ooh.
something like, you know, like a necromancer would have.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I think with my character's corruption,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my actual weapon
Yeah.
that allowed me to draw on the power of love and justice, basically.
Right. Well,
But
yeah,
now
maybe.
instead, I draw my magic from the power of spite and vengeance.
Do you draw your power unknowingly from the orb?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I imagine when you draw your weapon, we see the orb start like swirling with the Vanta black. Like it darkens in a way that you
Yeah,
didn't notice
and,
that
like,
it wasn't quite full black
Fanta
yet.
black fire on my hands.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like it's like sucking the light out of the surroundings a little bit.
Yeah.
God, that rules.
Yeah. I want a black staff with like an opal, like an opal, kind of like inside of like the branches at the top of this staff. It's black.
I love it. Goth vibes.
Dot online.
Exactly. Also, I have to note, because we're not playing, that drawing my weapon, which is a song with like tailored lyrics for you, I guess that would look like we're having a conversation and I start quoting a lyric in like a sing-song voice, but then I change one of the lyrics to show you that I have prepared a whole song with like modified lyrics.
Right. You
Like,
start
just so
doing
you know,
the
this is what
lead
you're in.
into the number musical voice. Like we're
Yes.
having a regular conversation, then suddenly you just get a little too rhythmic and very passionate.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Disasters. So, speaking of things that you can just pull out to be extra, the last major thing in character creation is inventory. So, I'm going to read this one from the rulebook. It's pretty short. What interesting items are you carrying on your person? Establish 2. This can include fashion accessories, items of utilitarian value, such as a boot knife or armored pauldron, trinkets from your past, or even from your opponent's past, if they agree. And so we've seen lots of like, I have the thing that you gave me on our 2nd anniversary, or I have the graduation trophy that I earned when I beat you for valedictorian, or like, yeah. But it can also just be, I have literally done like a like sidearm that I never use. Like we fight with swords, but I'm wearing a gun the whole time.
I wrote one down already. I wrote the orb.
yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I think my character is wearing underneath her outfit the necklace that you gave me to cheer me up when it was like at the peak of our friendship / relationship.
Oh, we're like halfway through season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yes, yes. Heartbreaking.
But do we have
Thank
best friend
you.
necklaces? And you're wearing the best.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
The fact that you haven't let that go. Oh, that makes yes. Also, I have to note for the listener that Amelia did write the orb in all caps. That's very important.
That orb, not just any orb, the orb.
The orb. Yep.
And I see that Sata's added some things here that I need the listeners to hear. So please
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes.
So I watched all of Glee. Starting from episode 1, the day after it aired, I watched episode 1 of Glee, and I kept up on it every single week until the end of Glee. I'm one of the only humans alive who did this.
I
And
did
I just
for a long
have-
time, but you did better than I did, I think.
Or worse. It's one of them for
Tough
sure.
to say. Tough to say.
And I have the specific image in my mind of when 2 characters are very angry at each other. And so they perform a passionate, spontaneous duet.
Mhm.
And I think I have sheet music for a duet that I think we might do. And it is, of course, the setup being the incredibly unrealistic, like everybody is perfect at reading music, like sight reading music. I don't know if I want to... If we were playing the whole game, probably I'd narrow down what the duet is exactly, but I just know I have sheet music and I have it. I've told myself that I was bringing it because I want to trick you into singing something with me so that I can show how much better I am than you. But actually, I just want to sing a song
But
with
it's a
you.
love song.
Yeah.
But it is a love song.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that so much. It's so extra
Yeah.
to bring to your rivalry showdown a way that you get to sing with the other person. This dork. I love them.
What a good game.
Thank you.
And I also have a note from you that I misinterpreted. So this is, I don't know exactly the context. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, on what you think it might be, but it is something I found, either something you wrote to me or something I just found that you wrote to somebody that I interpreted as you saying definitively that you're not in love with me, but it actually means the opposite. Like it is a note that I found where I completely misunderstand who you're talking about or something. And I've been holding on to it this entire time as like, she doesn't even love me. Look, she wrote it down in this note that actually, spoilers, says that you do love me.
I really love the idea that it's something along the lines of like a diary entry, but like not that you've like stolen or something. Like I think I was just scratching down something to myself. Like I do that a lot. I write a lot of plans and I leave it in the wrong place and you just like run into it. And it's something I'm not going to take the time right now to like do the whole thing, but it's something about my character is concise, right? And I think almost like poetic. And so like has wrote like, we're like two flames ready to burn each other up. And you took that as me saying I didn't want that.
Right.
And actually that was me saying, this is exciting. I want this.
Yeah.
And so you misinterpreted the poetry of my statement because you were insecure.
Perfect.
That's
never
so
brought it
good.
up to me. I don't even know that you had it because it's just one of a million like notes.
Like tiny little
like,
post-it
around
notes
my
that you've written all over.
spaceship.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh,
good.
that's fantastic. I have something from our first score. You said like a friend introduced us and they must have introduced us under the guise of a job. Like obviously they wouldn't set us up for a date because we'd never agree. And so we did a job together and I have told myself that I have this like little nugget of some precious space metal that we stole off like an asteroid or something like that. And I told myself I'm keeping it as like proof that I can do better than you or like some sort of like,
gosh.
I don't even need to sell this because look how successful I am.
Those are
I'm
such
just like holding
denial.
on to our loot. And I just want to feel close to you.
I love that these two lie to themselves constantly. That's
Like
wonderful.
some real therapy might be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would love like group therapy as an actual duel here. I'm just
I
thinking
was
about
just
that.
about to say
God.
Couples therapy. I
Yeah. have the high ground couples therapy.
Oh, wow.
Perfectly healthy.
Absolutely.
I think those two kids are going to make it.
I think maybe by the end of the actual karaoke there, I remember you saying in the introduction to the show that there are 3 things that a game does need to be good, even though you won't tell people how to make games, which are, or in the like outline for the show, which are magical girls, shopping, and kissing.
Yeah.
You all have brought the magical girls. Shopping, there is a lot of clothes discussion. I did mention
I feel
going
like
and buying.
we definitely have gone through inventories and I feel
Yes.
like I will gladly replace shopping with descriptions of clothing or capes.
Perfect.
I just
And
need a
then I
fashion
have a-
montage is really
Yes, I always want a fashion montage. And then I think there's a good chance that after the end of the battle that follows our duel, Seda and I's characters could end up bringing the kissing.
I mean, I think
Oh,
we're
that's
this
possible.
close.
I was going to say, I was trying to think of like how we could fit the kiss into our pairing as well. Because, you know, any good RPG has a good kiss.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I win, like maybe that spells the doom of the universe. If you win, maybe that spells the corruption getting pulled from me. And then there might be something there.
Right. And then there's a kiss.
I love the idea the mechanism of that is a kiss, like the corruption being pulled from you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
one
I
of you,
have
like,
to
draining
kiss
it
you
away into the
while I
other?
hold the orb.
Yeah. Because the power of love heals.
Well, right. It's the undying power of love and friendship, Ryan.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
And then I think, like, if you win, it is like this, oh crap, I made a mistake. One last kiss before the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yes, so I have the space rock from our first job. And what is the other object that I have? My first thought is something like almost like a set list. Like I know what songs you usually sing. Like you have the more accomplished record. And I'm going to take one of them before you can sing it. I'm going to take your like feature song before you can sing it.
You really do have the
That's
high
so
ground.
dastardly.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Ryan, you still need
Perfect.
one more thing.
I have it in mind, but I want to talk to you about it.
Okay. So the other thing that I put down here, aside from the orb, is a promotional postcard from our Magical Girl team. Because I think that we did have promotional items.
Yeah.
I think we're a very well-known Magical Girl team. And this is season 3 finale. So we definitely have stuff. So I have a postcard with a picture of better times.
Yeah, 100%. Now, my question is, does your character have like a creative hobby of some sort?
Ooh. I could see myself as like a painter.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, you tell me what hobby you need me to have and I can have that.
No, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
I've got the canvas of your first painting.
Ooh. I love it.
Because my character wants to hurt you.
Oh no, are you going to throw it in the lava? Don't you dare.
Oh my God.
You have it specifically to like
Specifically
crash
for
it
this.
Yeah.
to like.
Yeah.
To throw them off, right?
Great.
Oh no. Now that's magical girl combat.
Yeah.
Cool. If we want, we can name our characters. A fun fact, name is not technically in the book. It is on the character sheet. But if you don't want a name, I guess I don't tell you to, but it's useful to have names most of the time. And Seda and I have gone ahead and written some. So Seda, if you want to do yours first and I'll share mine. And you don't have to name if you don't want.
My character's name is Sean, which is short for Conclusion Adversary. I love noun names. This person's name is Conclusion Adversary, but people call her Sean.
Oh,
I
amazing.
love that.
I love your noun name so much. I specifically was like, let's say names out loud so that I could hear your noun name. And then I'm leaning both into like space Western vibes, though more and more I'm like, I don't know if the whole setting is space Western
Or if
just
you're
my
just
character
space Western.
acts like it's
Yes.
space Western.
I almost like that better.
Yes. And she's also very dramatic. So I've got Annalie Amber
That's very good.
for mine.
Brian, I was going to ask you, do we have like Sailor Scout names? Like, is there like Sailor something? Like, and like, if so,
I was thinking about leaning into like princess.
okay.
Like, what if we're all like princess something
Okay.
or whatever?
I'm good with that. So then we'd have to be something to do with like whatever your element is,
Yeah.
which,
Or your stone or tiara.
Yeah.
in which case I could be Opal.
Oh, yeah.
I think I will be. So what was your gemstone before it faded / are you still that?
Yeah.
I think now you are obsidian.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
a volcano.
Love that.
Why?
Yeah, now you're an alter ego. You might have been like Sapphire or something
Yeah.
before, but now
Yeah,
you're
I was thinking
definitely-
Sapphire before, but
Yeah, because I know you.
I
got you.
I know.
From fire
Um,
to obsidian.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be
Okay.
Princess Obsidian and Princess Opal.
amazing.
New transformation phrase after this
Yeah.
from fire to obsidian.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
so
it's a
good.
different animation. Like for the first time since season 1, they have made a new animation. They're just
What?
cutting down the old animation
Mhm.
sequence.
Mhm.
They
Um,
budgeted for this. This is a big deal. Oh, this is so good.
Wow.
So yeah, the last thing that is kind of part of character creation that I don't really think we should do, it sort of sits between character creation and play, is circumstances. So this is, we've established like, what are we doing here? But it's like literally, how does it start? Do you like stumble into a hallway in front of the other person? Or like, was it you knew where they were going to be and you approached? And then I offer mechanical ways of doing this, because choosing your move on the first turn can be tough. A move basically represents like, am I going to try and just insult them straight out? Or am I going to try and like bait them into a response? And based on who wins, the book says, this is what happens. Like this is how your narration should be structured based on the winner. And it's really difficult to say when your characters are just first running into each other, like what's their approach going to be? So it was actually with Seda's help that I developed a couple mechanics for starting your duel. So you can either die roll to see who chooses what and win, if you just like need a little bit of like randomness to prompt you at the beginning. Or you can answer questions. So instead of just picking thrust, feint, or parry, you can be like, which of these pre-supplied versions sound like what my character would do. I basically give you a couple opening scenarios, like the challenge, one person challenging the other, the chance encounter, you just run into each other. And then I describe what each of these could mean to basically set players up with an example. It's kind of creation and it's kind of play because you're picking your first move. And it's optional. These mechanics are optional. Like if you need them, I've also just moved directly into play plenty of times. And I think I just wanted to introduce that. I don't really think, especially with the length we're running, that we need to do this.
I also think we've all made it pretty clear what's happening here.
Yes. One of the things I say is, if you've already settled this, just go right into play.
100%.
But yeah, that's I have the high ground character creation.
That was great. That was great. We have a couple more questions to go over about this process now.
Yeah, totally.
I want to know a little bit about the process of developing some of these character creation mechanics. I know you've said several times that a lot of them came through playtesting, and that you just kind of kept adding things as you went along. Were there other things that you kind of did regularly as you were developing this process? Or was playtesting really the most consistent way that you made changes?
I think it's not just play testing, but also play. And what I mean by that is the initial versions of this game. I think when I wrote the initial draft of this game in a 3-hour manic fugue. It just sometimes
it goes like that.
Exactly. But I think a lot of the inspiration I was drawing on is that Satah and I were playing a game with two of the characters from that Galactic campaign I mentioned, but in a different system, just the two of us. And it was a pretty romantic and rivalry game. And that's the fun of playing games with your partner. And we used two systems for that game, and actually also systems by Riley. Shout out to Riley's game, metagame.itch.io. Fantastic. Which are, it's been a long, long time, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a long, long time is about two lovers or close friends or whatever, who had a life together and then were separated for an extended period of time and then get this joyous reunion. While It's Been a Long Time Coming is about two rivals who had time together and then were separated and are coming together for their final showdown.
Ooh.
And for the characters that Satah and I were playing,
it was both.
They were lovers and it was both.
Romantic reunion and showdown combination.
Exactly. There was memory loss involved and evil. Yes.
Very good.
And what we did was we mashed up these games. And the way Riley's game works is that you draw from a deck of cards, and each draw gives you prompts to answer a question about your characters. Sort of like creation works here. It's when was the first time you met? Or what was your best date? Or what angers you about the other person? And then you set aside all of a certain suit. And then when you hit the reunion or the showdown, you then do all of those cards at once. And because we were doing both, the structure was a little weird because the individual triggers needed to happen in both decks. And this game went on for 5 hours. And eventually what happened is that the showdown isn't supposed to take the place, it's supposed to be a single scene. It's again prompts, right? You flip up these cards and you ask, what did you bring with you? Or what are you feeling most vulnerable about in this moment? But Satah and I used those cards as prompts for the next bit of dialogue. And so we would flip a card and it would be what are you feeling vulnerable about? And then our character would enact that in some way, right? And that core loop of get something random and use that to inspire a bit of dialogue and exchange, and then pause and get something random again to continue that dialogue and exchange, came from us hacking Riley's game to become this form of live storytelling.
Very good.
And so I think some of the character creation being based on just like collaboratively asking yourself these questions comes from it being based on a game where you just draw questions.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. That was like one part of the like inspiration and process. And then the other thing is like I said for that descriptor mechanic that like it wasn't in that initial draft. And Satah, if you want to talk a little bit about what it was like making characters for the first time and like sort of where some of the holes were and what you did, I would love to hear.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the memory recall to be able to pin it to that specific game, but just as a general rule, I often feel a little bit abandoned by some character creation processes just because I am somebody who works much better within rules. Like I like to have stuff to bounce off of rather than just having the responsibility to come up with something all by myself. Because I don't know, I have to do that in the rest of my life all the time. It's nice to, in a game, not have to have quite that much mental load and have a little bit of stuff that like tables and things that are generated to play off of and inspire. And that is, I think that we pretty much immediately butted up against this. Like I dipped into my general coping mechanisms for these things, which is like looking up random adjective generators and that sort of thing. And so this all developed from us trying to play a game in a way that makes a little bit more sense to me.
Because I saw Satah go to this random adjective generator and like paste a few adjectives in. And I was like, oh, I like that one. I'll grab this one. And then Satah like grabbed one from that list. And I was like, wait, this rules. Like this is really fun as a way to establish our details. It's just like applying these words from a set list to our characters, which is, like Satah said, a way that they've been making characters for a long time. And so I was just like, what if we canonized this? I love this.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves in conversation, like going back and forth and being like, well, if you are this, it would be interesting if I was this. We were still like picking from a list. But then I was like, what if we get lists of opposites? Like, because that tension is so important to, I have the high ground. It was just like observing that we were already doing that and then saying, how do we give a random player the like guidance to start picking those opposites and setting up their characters to be different and opposed in interesting ways.
So good.
Yeah.
So what inspirations did you draw upon then for the character creation mechanics? Like we were talking about a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned a lot of like Riley's games being a major inspiration. I also think that Fiasco was actually a bit of an inspiration for me.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I played a really nice game that was like polycule time with Satah, my partner, and with my wife, where we played a game of Fiasco. And in that game, I was really fascinated by the ways that all character creation was around objects, right? Like, it wasn't about your individual character. It was about how do these objects define your relationships to each other. Each thing, you pick two characters in it. And doing that, I was like, oh, that's what's most important in this duel, right? Like what is actually at stake is your relationship to each other. And so that's the reason why you don't start by defining your individuals and then coming together and saying, how do these individuals relate to each other?
Yeah.
You start with saying, how do these individuals relate to each other? Like you're playing a Fiasco game. And then you go, how do I like have my flair within that boundary?
I really liked that. I feel like right away, it was really easy to be like, to make a character backwards off of that, to be like, okay, I hate Ryan and why? or I guess like in your case, like, I really don't hate you and why,
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to work backwards from that.
Yeah,
and there
100%.
aren't a lot of games that do that, that start with you defining relationships before you define your person.
Right?
And it was a fun thought exercise to do it that way.
I think that playing Fiasco really opened my eyes to Fiasco was one of my first non-D&D TRPGs like years ago when I started to sort of cast a wider net. And it really opened my eyes to how character creation can play at the table, which quickly became one of my favorite things. And it just, the way that Fiasco unfurls after that character creation, I was like, oh, games can just be like this. Games can be like this. You can like set up your relationships and then play off of them. Oh, that's cool. And I think that I've taken that forward into every other character creation since.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like it's a very interesting look too at making a character creation that works for the game that you're playing. You know, is like the way that you create characters in something like D&D isn't going to work for something like this because you're not using the characters in the same way. You don't need to know the same things about them, which is one of the things that I've really liked about making this show is looking at that, like, how does character creation tell you about like what you're going to be doing when you play the game and how do those things interact with each other?
Absolutely.
But yeah, you definitely need to do it differently when you're going to do something different in the game. And I really liked the way that this one is set up to, by the time we got to the end, it was like, ooh, I know what Ryan and I are fighting about. And I know, it was really good.
It is a game. I had a friend of mine call it like a game about creating stakes.
Yes.
It is like a game about getting you emotionally invested in the stakes of whatever is about to happen.
Yes.
And when you get into play and you're getting down to like it's 7 versus 8 points and you don't know what the other person's going to pick, like it is just trying to build up to that moment. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I really
love the difference in stakes that we were able to set up. That yours is like this karaoke competition for like who looks cooler. And Ryan and I are like battling in a volcano for the end of the world. And that the game is like totally set up to do either of those and everything in between. It was great.
And they both felt super dramatic, right?
Yes. They both had they both felt very high stakes, even though they weren't. And I love that so much.
And then hopping back to a little bit of like how this developed, another thing that was constantly evolving is what order to do character creation in. Because like this is a series of prompts. It's not a like pick your inventory and stuff like that. And the prompts, some of them rely on each other. Right. Like I tell you can switch it up and you can. The only thing I said is you need to pick your cape before your weapon. And that's because you have to pick your cape before your advantages in case you choose the superior weapon advantage so you can pick your weapon. But it is still, even if a player can go out of order, what order I ask people to think about this in is both going to affect what type of stories they tell, but also how easy of a time that they have. In the notes from Satah and I's first playtest, it says reorder the background section because like, I think, yes, looking at the like initial version of this book, it was history before stakes and there was no genre. And so you try to jump into who are these characters, who are they to each other before you even know like, well, what's on the line?
I think I remember trying to gesture with my hands to talk about the concept of like funneling in information, like starting broad and getting more narrow, and feeling like things were a little, I'm doing it now. I'm trying with my hands.
There's squiggly lines and funnel shapes. But you're right. At this point, the way it is, it definitely does funnel you down from this really broad, like, you know, like our very first answer is, what is your genre? And we put character creation cast. Like, that's where it started. Yeah.
But yeah, like I was listening to, I believe it was an interview with Jamie Stegmaier, might be his name, the guy who made Scythe on a podcast. Some of it's slipping my mind, but if that's the right interview, he basically says game design is playtesting. Yeah. That like if you've written a game but you haven't playtested, you have an idea. And I think that with Satah and I's first playtest, so much of what this game needed to be to work for a player became clear in the process of trying to create characters. And like Satah said, they often feel like abandoned by certain character creators, but that also means they have a really critical eye towards like what is missing that's going to cause a player to like false step here and feel a little bit of dissonance. And it was the process of playtesting that formed the funnel that we now have, which feels really nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's most of what I have to say.
Oh, so good.
Is there anything else about this game that you want to highlight that you want people to know we didn't get to at this point?
So as of today, the day this podcast is coming out, you can get I Have the High Ground. You can head on over to my itch page, which is jessfromonline.itch.io. And it will be the first thing front and center. I'm very excited for future me who is experiencing this right now. And if you want a physical copy, so I crowdfunded this on Game on Tabletop because Kickstarter decided to embrace crypto, and I was like, I'm
no, thank you,
not
Kickstarter.
here for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All they had to do was not do anything. Like, just listen aside. All they had to do was just keep plugging along, doing what they were doing. Anyway, continue.
And that crowdfunder's late pledging session just wrapped up. It was way more successful than I could have imagined. Thank you so much to everyone who supported it. But in that crowdfunder, you could get a physical zine because it was part of Zine Month. And you could also get what was called a premium set, which came with the zine, a burlap bag for everything in it, 2 6-sided dice with crossed rapier 6 faces, so like marbled 6-sided dice, and 9 laser engraved wooden tokens with thrust, parry, feint, penalty move, and priority on them so that you could like do the little hide in your hand thing.
I love it.
And pass it back and forth, kind of like a poker dealer's token for priority. And right now, all of those that I know will exist for sure are already being sent out to will be sent out to backers. But I'm hoping if there's enough interest to make some more premium sets. So if people are really excited about this game and you want one, let me know on Twitter or my website or whatever, and I'll see if I can make that happen. But if you just want a copy of the zine, Indie Press Revolution has, I think, about 50 copies that they have for sale on their website, or you can also get the PDF there as well as on itch. So if you want to find the game, check out my itch, check out Indie Press Revolution. And then finally, I just want to thank some of my other fantastic contributors. As I said, Satah was a big part of some of the game design for character creation, especially, and I really appreciate that. I also want to thank Vin Tanner, who did the layout. This is one of the first bits of character creation I've got to do with the fully laid out book, and it's so nice versus the like Google Doc that I had. It just makes everything so much more like clear and easy to parse, and also has this cool sci fantasy aesthetic that I love the way Vin captured. Speaking of capturing an art aesthetic, Ezra's art is absolutely gorgeous. I love these 2 flamboyant lesbians all over this book, and the like slow narrative that builds from just these few images. Thank you so much, Ezra. And then I also want to thank Will Jobst, who did the editing for this book. It was a stretch goal, and now that I've done it once, it will never be a stretch goal again. It will always be built in because it was so fantastic. Yes. Just transformative to the written quality of this book. So yeah, you can get it on my itch or on Indie Press Revolution. Thank you so much to everyone who helped me make it happen. And also, again, you can find me as Jess from Online. Yeah.
Jess and Satah, thank you so much for doing this with us. This was just like a fantastic time. It was so good. It was so good. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Do you both want to remind everybody where they can find you online?
Yeah, Satah, if you want to go.
Yeah. On Twitter, I'm nudity with an EA instead of a Y. And you can find links to various musical doings at gaygothvibes.online, which currently is a website that just says website incoming. Here's some links, but it is technically a website.
Hey, it has the best URL in the world, which means it doesn't really need anything else.
Right. I'm like,
that's plenty.
It's gaygothvibes.online. It's got a black background. There are links. You can click them. What more do you need?
I love it. Right. That seems like plenty.
Perfect.
And if you want the other .online address, jessfrom.online, will take you to all of my work. I do writing as well. I had a novelette published in Clarkesworld earlier this year. Cool. So if you want to check out The Direction of Clocks, that's there. I have a few albums. My latest album, Archive, is on my Bandcamp, liquidcrystal.bandcamp.com. And I hope to have an EP out in the next few months. And more than anything, I'm extremely online on Twitter as @JessFromOnline. And you can find out about everything that I do on there.
Very cool.
So good. Well, again, thank you both so much for joining us for the special bonus episode of Character Creation Spotlight. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Do not forget to check out the I Have a High Ground release on itch right now. It should be available the day that this episode airs. So it's
I'm
good.
excited about this.
Everybody.
It's good. It's really good. It's really
get
good. It's really good. It is yet another game that we managed to make about magical girls and necromancers. So I think that like marks everything off in our columns. It had fashion. It had possible kissing. It had magical girls and necromancers. So
Well, what mark
the
did you want?
C3 stamp of approval.
Yep, exactly. and we will see you next time, everyone. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permissions from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero, remixed by Steve Combs, and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used in today's guest can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, extra outtakes, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.
Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com, where you'll find other great shows like Modifier.
Modifier is an interview show hosted by Megan Dornbrock, all about why and how people change games. From the hobbyist to the professional, from house rules to publication, we all have in mind a better way to play. What's yours? I almost didn't hit the button. After all that, I was like staring off into space. Kind of like wondering where my dog went. She wandered away.
We got it. I assume we got it.
We did.
Oh, good,
I'm good here.
All right, perfect.
Thrust, fairy, or paint. Thrust, fairy, or paint. I love those options.
All right. Now we can finally stop our recording.